Millbrook is a small town in rural Ohio. Everybody there knows everybody. And in Millbrook, people take school seriously. The town's literacy rate is way above the state average. Parents push their kids hard to study, get good grades, and get out. That's exactly what Riley's parents wanted for her. They dreamed of her graduating from a great college and landing a good job. But they had no idea what price she'd end up paying for that dream. This story is a warning for anyone who's ever left home for the first time to study somewhere far away. Riley had been a brilliant student since she was a kid. In a lot of small towns, girls are pushed toward getting married right after high school. But Riley's family was different. They believed in education. When she graduated top of her class, she told her parents she wanted to study at a university in Chicago. They agreed. She picked mathematics as her major and got into a great school on the city's south side. I won't name the actual college. If any of her old classmates are watching, let me know in the comments. Leaving home for the first time was hard. Riley grew up in a small town, and the switch to city life, new people, new pace, new pressure, wasn't easy. But she made close friends fast, and they helped her adjust. Her grades were excellent. She was near the top of her class the whole way through. Time passed, and Riley and her friends reached their final semester. She'd already been accepted into a prestigious graduate research program, full ride, one of only 30 spots in the country for her field. Everything was going right. As the semester wound down, the friend group, 7 of them, 4 guys and 3 girls, decided to spend their last few months living close together near campus, in a neighborhood called Elmwood. They'd walk to class together, hang out, and finish the semester as a group before going their separate ways. One evening after class, the whole group went for a walk through a park near Elmwood. Jake was in the group. He'd just gotten into a top engineering program and was heading there in the fall. As they walked, they passed a big old oak tree near the edge of the park, and under it sat a box of sweets, wrapped up neat, with 3 strange marks drawn across the top in red. Riley stopped and stared at it. "Look, someone left all this candy out here. Back where I'm from, people say stuff like this is left out for spirits. Like a ritual." Jake laughed. "You're about to be a research scientist and you're still talking about superstition?" He walked over, grabbed a piece of candy from the box, and practically shoved it into Riley's mouth before handing pieces out to the rest of the group, teasing her the whole time. Later that day they stopped by their favorite professor's office and gave him some of the leftover candy too. "Look what Riley was saying about curses," Jake joked. Everyone laughed it off and went home. Over the next 2 weeks, small things started happening. Someone would feel dizzy. Someone would throw up out of nowhere. Someone would feel drained for no reason. Everyone chalked it up to the weather changing, stress, finals, normal stuff. About 15 days after the park, their professor was driving home from campus, like he did every day. While crossing an intersection, 2 girls suddenly stepped out in front of his car. He swerved hard to avoid them and crashed. He broke both legs and suffered a serious head injury. When the group visited him in the hospital, he told them what happened. "I was driving carefully. 2 girls just appeared out of nowhere in the road. I swerved to miss them and lost control." He was in the hospital for months. He never recovered. He died from his injuries. But it had only just started. Riley's apartment was near the edge of Elmwood, right across the street from an old town cemetery. Most evenings she'd walk to a corner store nearby to grab groceries before heading home around 7:30. And on her way back, she started noticing 2 girls standing a short distance from her building. They looked completely normal, no costumes, nothing unusual, except their faces were blank. Expressionless. They'd just stand there and watch her walk the whole way to her door, eyes locked on her the entire time. At first she figured they were just new neighbors. But it kept happening. Every single evening. And the more it happened, the more anxious and irritable Riley became. A heavy depression settled over her. One night, lying in bed with a bad feeling she couldn't shake, she called a friend and asked her to come sleep over. About 30 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. She opened it. No one was there. Shaken, she tried to go back inside anyway. That's when she felt a hand land on her shoulder from behind her. She screamed and bolted outside, calling her friend again in a panic. 10 minutes later her friend showed up, and the 2 of them slept in the same room that night. Riley had grown up around old folk stories and small-town superstition, so she wasn't easily rattled, but even she knew something was wrong. She didn't want to overreact, so she kept going to class. But she couldn't focus anymore. She started spending most of her time outside the classroom instead of in it. About 5 days later, she was sitting with her friends in class. Kyle, another guy from their group, was sitting alone in the back corner. He pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket, tore it into pieces, and started staring at his own palms, muttering, "This one's his. This one's yours. This one's his. This one's yours." Then he bolted out of the room. Everyone chased after him and found him standing outside the bathroom, forehead pressed against the wall. When they called his name, he turned around, shoved the torn paper into his mouth, and swallowed it while chewing. Then he said, in a voice that didn't sound like his own, it sounded like 2 or 3 girls speaking at once, "I'll chew it up. I'll eat it." The guys who ran toward him fainted on the spot. Kyle was rushed to the hospital. After days with no improvement, they got him transferred to a top research hospital. Doctors found that nerves throughout his body had been severed in multiple places, for no medical reason anyone could explain. Surgeons operated on him for over 24 hours straight. Kyle didn't survive. Right around graduation, Riley told her family she needed to delay starting her graduate program, first by a few months, then longer. She couldn't explain why, even to herself, but something in her didn't want to go home either. Her health kept getting worse, and she hid it from her parents as long as she could. Meanwhile, Megan, another girl from their group who'd gotten married during college, had a baby. It seemed healthy at first. Then one day she called Riley in tears. Her son had died. The night she gave birth, Megan told her, she saw the same 2 girls standing beside her bed. "We have to eat this baby," they said. "We're taking it with us." The baby died the next day. Riley spiraled further. Not long after, she got a call from a friend. Megan had killed herself. That's when Riley started seeing Megan too. She'd wake up in the middle of the night to find Megan standing right next to her bed, furious. "You're the reason my baby and I are dead. You could have stopped everyone from eating that candy. You killed all of us. Why are you still alive?" These visions kept happening, day and night. Riley hit rock bottom and finally told her parents everything. They drove out immediately and brought her home. Back home, they took her to doctor after doctor, healer after healer, nothing helped. One morning, Riley walked into the kitchen and started screaming at her mother in a voice and language that wasn't hers. Her mother ran out terrified. Riley chased her, until her grandmother threw holy water on her while praying. Riley collapsed, unconscious. Her family later told her that when she went down, her jaw had locked shut so hard her teeth were fused together. When she woke up, she started convulsing violently. That same day, her father brought in a well-known local healer, a man named Walter, who specialized in cases like this. He examined Riley and said, "We do the ceremony tomorrow night. I'll start at 3 a.m. Here's everything you'll need to prepare." The next evening, Walter left his house to drive out to Riley's family. An hour later, her father got a call. Walter had been in an accident and was in the hospital. When they reached him, he told them, "I was on the road and felt someone grab me from behind and throw me off my bike." 12 days later, Walter died too. Think about how strong whatever this was had to be. Desperate, Riley's father reached out to a spiritual elder who told him about a healer several states away, known for handling cases exactly like this, cases nothing else could touch. "Take her there immediately," he said. "That's the only place she can be saved." The drive was brutal. Riley writhed in pain the entire way, twisting in her seat like something was tearing through her. She tried to hurt herself more than once, and it took several grown men in the car to hold her down. They finally reached the healer, and Riley underwent an intense, days-long ritual. 4 days after they got home, she was completely back to normal. Here's the part that'll give you chills. When Riley's family and the healers dug into what actually happened, they learned that, years earlier, 2 young women had lived together in an apartment in that same Elmwood neighborhood. Both had gotten pregnant by their boyfriends. Both boyfriends abandoned them the second they found out. The girls had already gone against their own families to be with these guys, so when their families found out too, and the guys wouldn't marry them, both girls took their own lives in that same apartment. They were buried in the cemetery nearby. After that, anyone who lived in that apartment reported strange things, seeing the 2 girls, feeling watched. Eventually the landlord brought in someone to perform a ritual, and the girls' spirits were bound to a tree in the nearby park, the same oak tree. The condition was that offerings of sweets had to be left under the tree for 7 days straight. That was the same candy Riley and her friends found, and ate. It's the kind of thing our grandparents used to warn us about. Don't eat food you find lying around outside. Don't touch things left out with strange markings. If you see something like that, leave it alone. We like to think we've outgrown all of that because we're modern and educated now, but stories like this are exactly why those warnings existed in the first place. If your mom, your grandmother, or anyone in your family ever told you not to touch something or eat something, listen to them. And let me know in the comments if you've ever ignored a warning like that. The healers said Riley survived because of her mental strength. She never fully gave in. That's what kept her alive. Riley says she lost years of her life recovering from what happened. She eventually rebuilt herself, came close to a major federal exam, and today works for a state agency. She still says that if it weren't for that one afternoon in the park, her life would look completely different. That's the whole story. If you've got a story like this of your own, you know where to find me. Until next time, take care of yourself.